Behind substance abuse are people with real stories of struggle and triumph. Drug and alcohol addiction stories are often not given much attention, but there is a deeper human element in each story. I met 42-year-old Alidu Bawa, who have been caught in the grips of addiction, and he has recovered. He is currently helping and inspiring others along the way to get out of addiction. He tells me his story and how drug abuse treatment has played different but essential roles in his life. He has learned his lessons after spending 15 years in jail as a result of his involvement in weed transaction.
Tima ni yala katazang ma cham prison dinga long story kan yala ma because banda kundan ya na gwa shi inshallah ka ba ma cham prison faro so but before being young bama in yala age of 12 years ka start in dole intervention saf so timbe saf ma timbe ko shelma sa taba ya to an yala so kamba sa dole ma ba ka nyura kamba nyura karatire mil ma halle so neti yit saf kuna yomo mba mini non business yele ha ya ni gidan patta ba ma gbon kan kyanti shiya na la yinga hal ka tan mi kuma e lunwa changba ko harle to nda nyen kyanti dal kunna ka ba so yanan ba ma da ma kyan prison ko brar ma ni ma 1 year. After that, I sentenced my 15 years. Tabamazo. So when sentenced my husband that board in escape to prison yard. Always in that watch la war. Ka officer so to boy man at yelma. Ne imza solo na ka bohan tuma. Ne tuma man maybe didn't have shell the to song man. So on yelma lala. Kazan man electrical shop. Can be electrical shop ma biela halle. The bound to mark and tam to pag kankuna, Unkula 2012 kankuna.
The love for weed forced Mr. Alidu into jobs that could be described as child labor. At age 12, he was already weeding on people's farm just to get money to travel to the south. While in Kumasi, he, together with his friends, all smokers, carried concrete for survival.
Kuma se tenda paga te full 1 week travel nye tumatunda ka kumti yantiti danga ka tukubor kaya ba na tishi ka banyara kamante soje se ni piala ma ete la me teki ma mba persobe ma ka tra lap teki ma to teki ma watra da la huibaro halan te pa da ro troko ntikpe tabo ne mi bims moane den la ejima o 12 years ka chante hozo la hozo halle ka te pa jete ka tikene Abidjan zan koko yire ani bi krum kin pira Abidjan ale kam fara ku borin shi garan more than 5 years ka ba mini be shere sonti yo no nyima la tekima kam fara rana kala onda kala tekima gwa geto ko racha no bi mbe yo no ko bo so ko no ku kem geto no tinya ma geto kala geto man ma ko ilho kai no hiya na to biya na ko ko shim tinya kan pena ko rabo tu police njak ma non lo ni shi ka to fara san makuna can to stop cooking drugs ne la ya karena man ko stop la yes ma how before kan ye first wife no tina yin yi pe chang te ki ma bo to ye man yera tinda hitra yeti en chamu to kopa so na mpaha so ti chamu ti di so pu on kwara tinirba ta ka yino mo raba nyur fara ka tinirba ya nyur fara so to kwar me ka tan di buto kwara ka mba ma mun ku kwara ka ta tungu nyule ashe puma lampa ka tan dita tanda ku bona to so kake puma ka ba miti yana shem to ba nyur taba ma o so to kunna ka ke mu anan ka puma lampa mu kunna ka yirin bibi mo yene kela shukuri nga kan nyur fara abu nyam dir nyul ma no onule shem so pama na yerla la katu umma on ko kuna ka tiri nan tawaye yilma ne tin kula biyan pa hawi dan timto half of the logrma ababo so ka duma patin sama fanam na ka te no ko tete logrma yun kama 8 o'clock ka tudum pa ha join shin tiya lori ku ka ki so pour bien ça so atakuleta shenda te kana ka tiam te dra ko no jirla ne ko ko poti ko meet mara titila ne tiya no tispa ka tungu man do street tirikan aegis ma na ka golen ke nyamare so tra gola ta kuleta man ku be nyirma na abina man hal ni kintampo ka shigi kintampo na nye tikima da lorin pentis patikima on kolori kyan kuma se ka neni ka tam labna tikima no.
He has abused narcotics for the better part of 32 years of his life. Anytime he smokes weed, not even the strongest man in the world can stop him when he gets angry.
Sa general nyurma nda ba kirbin shawo aba nda nyurta ba ma nda ba kirbin shawo ma nda ba puru yin ba at the point time me kira ai kunnan ma hala nyen nin kurgu kan nan ma kan so ma ti yisi bomba ban gum makawula mambien stop it nanye bo ha karu so bakara cherka nda be basa pam cause da man du spa ndorma be mai ku be shel da shooting he fight zubu ko kambazu ama every stubborn because tawama encouragement makan yuko ke awa kare encouragement kan yuda ka encouragement bitra mo shel dem bien mo da kan da nyela d10 awa bo kan yuriza ha so mila ben shakam haleni nyesha. Dendanon wesi nyela tikimai awa bo kanda tinye bi adi shela kabinye ditama kanda nyur de cocaine ma kambinya cocaine ma nyu katiki halle yama ya dinyela life story woro dirbetu ne yalle ba ne yalle so ne tikilma kamlele gilimba minen nan lisha katike market ma ka so san kube kula kube shanga don kunya har wan ma ko kusan la puli ma makai de mai ne ba kan da sanan puli so ne gulen ba minen sha kan tikan ta pili na ba bo san kan ta so ka de ga da dati ma to ko kunye de shel ma ma ha min ya ta tiyar ba kai ka fata ba so wanda yan kan
But it's obvious that lack of parental care can lead to social vices. At the time, Mr. Alidu had his both parents living in Kumasi while he stays with family members in Tamale. He believes that was what got him into smoking weed.
Ashenra murtabama kaporma mbamn mara kayong brabila saf so raman pa dapsu shere kan ni biya yan kan sku ka gale biya ba bishi akan yan ko nga yelen bahar ne kamen yutaba ka kanan tun yubuno ka kan sku ko toshin sku so na ku biya sku ma la ka taba ma nyu ku biya min friends ma ka retri encourage tikeme sa vin bolore tikeme sa yin bolore ka tri so ka ke sku so man wa primary school ba kama stop class 4 kama stop school kamera nyela lambra ba biya ne injia ka ayen kyan wa family ne takazan ma tra kane ka men yutaba ma dinya bamna mane a family so bi wona consider ma bamna mane kan ka mur varma so kan yan consider so bara kan.
Drug addiction is undoubtedly the major issue that lead young people into mental health issues. In the northern region here, a substantial number of young people are into drugs. Call it cocaine, marijuana, and even tramadol. These young people need help and support to get out of this. We are here to speak to the Chief Executive Officer for TOLIC.
we have the cocaine, we have tramadol, and I will want to single out these two because of their high usage among our young ones. Because when you talk about the tramadol, you talk about cocaine, people think it doesn't exist in Tamale. But I tell people, I have not. But if we just need to make a call with some of the individuals that we engage with, and they will provide these things immediately, readily available. And so some places within Tamale is readily available, like buying porridge in northern region. Yes, that's how common this is. And sometimes, especially the tramadol, you see, the one that is being abused is not the one that is dispensed at the hospital level. Those ones seem to come from unapproved routes from our bodies, because the one that is approved and prescribed in the hospitals, 50 milligrams, 100 milligrams, but those we have in the system that the young ones are using, it's about 1,000 milligrams. So it means that some of the 50s, 100 of them put together, and then it's a lot.
Peter Mintiri is a mental health officer and advocate at Total Life Enhancement Center, TOLEC. He has been working with drug addicts for the past 5 years, giving them therapy. He explains how challenging it is to get young people out of addiction.
Especially some of them who are brought by another person. That's where it becomes a bit challenging to be able to help. But if somebody at a point says, I know this is disturbing me and I want help, they come in and within a matter of months, they do very well. Other people lead them into therapy. And at the point they do, what we call in therapy insight, they themselves don't appreciate why they are here. And so it becomes difficult even to support them. So those ones are the difficult ones. But those who walk in themselves, they are always the easiest to handle because they are ready and they are prepared. But when you ask about the challenges, I will say, in natural fact, the ideal will be to have some form of an inpatient rehab where we are lacking. What we do is basically the outpatient rehab services. So people come, we engage them within the day, and maybe some few hours, then they go back to the house and may come another day or come the following day, depending on the assessment that we have done. But we would have reached the situation where there are some of them who come, they go home, and tomorrow they don't come back. These are people who need to say that we'll be able to admit. We have a number of psychiatric nurses, we have a number of other health professionals who will keep them here, engage them in some positive level of activities, so that at the point when some of them are even beginning to feel what is called withdrawal symptoms, we can manage them appropriately.
But how does some of the young people get into drugs?
A young man we met, let's say 6-7 months ago, when we bumped into him, he was so excited that there were people like us to provide support. What was his story? His story was he was the only son of his parents, seemed to have a lot of opportunities, but he goes to school, and one of his colleagues says he initially mentioned the desire to be one IT expert in the near future. And from his perspective, he was one of the good ICT students when it comes to ICT lessons in the classroom, because he will set up the system and prepare the class for the teacher to come in. But just in one of his engagement with another colleague who was into drugs, told him that if you want to be the best IT person, please just try this. And this young man tried it, and within a matter of months, he couldn't get out of it. And so as it stands now, this young man is out of school. So secondary school, for instance, he hasn't completed well.
For Mr. Alidu, unemployment is the major cause of young people getting into drugs. He believes if young people have jobs that will engage them, they won't think about drugs.
Tuma kayan smache ka biso mun ku bihini go yonga ka ku hiyo mi won chen shere o mun chan geto ni robian won chan ta pa no ka ku yor fro kan yer varma nyura to manay bo na kwam ma somba shem nyela bir song so logre be force me le somba ka banye profession ka banye profession ma or na to bo ham mesin won to bo han carpentry any kind of tuma ko no to nang ban somba ka gbaza to because bi ani ka mal tuma ai kan tuma na kuma mal tam na smoke ama tuma ai kan dole ne bi ani o kan to do kito so on so la pam ma bo son be pam be ma sonte ka tuma kana ka ne to ku tin ku kan geto ma she bi an tin ka fi mal ba so be sonte tuma na o ko pam mo ma gbaza ben keji.
While Alidu was trying to quit drugs, his friends continued to pull him along. In the middle of our interview, Alidu's friend who he started smoking weed with called in. Even though Alidu has stopped smoking weed, his friends still smoke.
Minister, Angela Mintini. Nana stop me 2018 ma kana ku bien ne te bien friends we kala sana kata tun once so ne te meet to le kinma ka bu tete advise on pa ni salmai de to tab ni salmai shi ka stop me madini ke kan blan gorma amma ku gora mo nyele ay pele ba ni kitin benyama be shebe o akuna ma o bro ni ne to ke taba ma nyuma an to be shema this time my life change me abanga o be pam yerma Kashema ku bien bam maker ban mind be ke bini da more advice ama shebe ku nyer man life ne change you nya ka nyela professional electrician kala to mi ni mo so mal family bien yang dun do non konko so buma mon ba have shebe kana ti ya o bro a life man non different.
Drugs must be fun. It can be fun, and it is fun for most of young men. But for Mr. Alidu, drugs can derail your life. It can mess up your life and waste your life forever.
De dabunguna de butu ba lagrma de ma tamango geto ni ma yaya ka ko in champion bor la taba ka ko ta ka champion bor la taba ka ko ta bet aba tumda ma ku to nyal gra dale he so resa nyala advice tinyi nimbo so nyurluma ay sam ku nyule de ben abe nyala easy den ke ka shebe nyule ka ti confuse ya cause o kalgre o mena ba sagala especially kama bibi so bien age of kama age man la be shema to bi malala age kan yur taba dole nyele ko non correct donc ko mos manyela be ko ben ma nyina man sang lgre chante dale kablan tong ba ma ros won tes prison wasting time avant so yama yala den chang gila den mos ma pa kan ba ko jine read za ka no I have to stop because my using lgre da karlant ma trouble.
Despite several advocacies to end or minimize young people getting into drugs, there have been very little efforts to rehabilitate those who have given up on drugs into society. Almost all young persons who recover from drug addiction do not have the opportunity to get themselves engaged, either because of stigma, the complete absence of support from the public, and support from family members.
After we have provided therapy and have engaged them and supported them to get over the drug, what we do is to build their capacity. And the capacity is always in line with the interests of the individual. Some of them are really good. They already had some skill before they got into this, so we are able to support them to build their capacity in that regard, to be able to set up. But the reality is that a lot of them who come and have no skill, that is where the challenge always is. But those who have a bit of a skill only need polishing. We are able to support them do that. But because of its intense nature of what you will need, the commitment you need to put in place, is an area that I would say we also have fallen short a bit, because you want to put somebody in carpentry shop training for a while as a carpenter or as a mason, and sometimes you lack the financial muscle to keep this person. But we understand that when people are getting out of addiction, when they get support and are able to engage themselves positively, then they can stay off the addiction for a very long time. Unfortunately, some people get out of the addiction and then they do well, and then there's nothing to engage them. So he's sitting home idle, and idleness will lead that individual back to the same point where we'll probably try to help him. first of all want to start from the family level. People like this, when they begin to get the support, it's family members that we need, because sometimes the type of rehab we do, like the outpatient, the patient can stay here just for some few hours. He gets home and the family members don't want to mingle with him, don't want to engage with him. He will go out and look for those people he has been working with or he has been engaging with, and that is where he will not do well. So family support is what we are asking for. Then the next will be the larger community. Let's not stigmatize the community, the family that has a child or has an individual into this particular, because it's unfortunate. It's a disease situation. So when you find yourself in this, even though it was behavior, you learned it in your own way, but you need support.
Mr. Alidu is currently working together with Tolek to sensitize young persons in the various ghettos in Tamale on the effects of drugs. He tells me how challenging it is for him to get them listen to officers from Tolek, as some accuse him of taking money from the organization.
Sometimes you can't get to me. Kati and yellow by Malam Big Mess, Tolek, Nunkabian Kati Yelba. Bishop live la life share, Carbon man, deny when you get to boy Mazo. But at the end, don't put the fila until you support Bangba couldn't educate Kana Mina Bianma until you support. No, Landirma, good people in your Kerry Kabukana, catching more to blood and blow informer. So before thinking, I am advice ma. This young program Bishop stop Taba, you carpella, she think Mr. Peter Nishit can get to small. For Bishop and you can know you know being a cat, better cannot power. So better could hear.
But all this does not demoralize him as he continues to pursue the agenda of getting his former colleagues out of drugs. He has an advice for them.
Because so come make is not young Kurgum. Twice our life and get to Cabo Horse like I to Kurgum, Mulay. The Mamblevian Nisalabu horse about Pabaku and Agil had to Kurga Kapama and I will have to be. So Bukam Mama Kabum advice from Shabas and Pabijim Tabas be Nakwatis Biyane.
Mr. Alidu is now married to 2 wives with 5 kids, all thanks to Tolek.
First Papa, first wife, Mama, Mwanda Bicheta, Omraba Mini Murle. Because Hello Raman Kana sang back and Yella, my aunt Pierre to pop paste. And paste the moon to occupy you can to go in a yacht take his all. Kalan patience and paste lamp paste before Katomro. I'll let Kat get married. Before put the bank, one bank over no free money. Mukutos and Jot Park, Mukutos and Munchap and Frank Kutu Kanaka, Polo and through me. I can't teach a man second wife and could stop later before Canaan.
According to a latest World Health Organization report, in 2020, drug use deaths in Ghana reached 630, equivalent to 0.36% of total deaths. The age-adjusted death rate is 3.31% per 100,000 population, ranking Ghana 22nd in the world in terms of drug addiction. Jonas Biaurbi, Fozar News.
When them talk you say you can do, if a force do so them go wonder. Only Jah no survivor, so me I chose him as my guide. Now I must survive.